Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, my fellow Liberians home and abroad. You're welcome to another wonderful, spectacular edition of Liberia Rising with Sam-Abel Gbinsay. Today I want to talk about the dynamics of leadership. The dynamics of leadership. By dynamics, we mean spirited and energetic. Spirited and energetic. It means positive attitude full of energy and new ideas. Not using old ways to solve new problems, but using new ways to solve modern and contemporary problems. Dynamics of leadership is characterized by constant change, activity, or progress. Dynamics of leadership is characterized by constant change, activity, or progress. Leadership is not static, it's dynamic. Dynamics is a force that stimulates change or progress within the system. You see, when your leadership perspective is dynamic, you know what it does? It stimulates change or progress within the system. That's why it does. It stimulates, it inspires change. You can be part of the thing. You don't bring anything to the table. That's not leadership. You come, you serve. All our people, almost everybody we put into national leadership, nothing they bring to the system or the process. All they do is serve. They become so much liability. You don't enter leadership and doesn't leave anything. You don't leave a legacy. Instead, you build yourself up. That's not dynamic leadership. Because dynamics is effective action. Effective action. Not procrastination, not words. We talk about effective action. 2 Chronicles 1:10 says, "Give me the wisdom and knowledge or understanding heart or spirit to lead them properly. For who could possibly govern this great people of yours?" When Solomon is made king after his father David, he's anointed legitimate king of Israel. But guess what he does when God comes to him in a vision, a dream, and asks him by night, "What do you want from me?" He didn't say fill my purses. He didn't say get rid of my enemies. He said, "Give me wisdom and knowledge and understanding heart and spirit so that I will lead your people properly, because they are such a great and a mighty people." How many of us leaders know that the people we govern, be it in the church, be it in politics, in the community, in the organization, these are unique people. They are God's people, and it takes some wisdom and understanding in order to lead them to the place they ought to be. How many of us know that? Our politicians often claim that the voice of the people is the voice of God. Yet, meaning the people that they govern, they echo the voice of God. But then, our leaders want to lead God's people successfully without having a direction from God, without having an understanding. They got so much poorly organized personality that they would depend on extraordinary means, on charms, on connection, on association. Your personality is poorly organized. If you depend on some occultic groups, some occultic society, I got to be part of this society, this establishment, that's not leadership. If you claim that the voice of the people is the voice of God, it means the people echo the voice of God. Then it must take some direction and understanding from God. Because you see, the scripture says the palace is for God and not for men. In our contemporary time, we say the executive mansion, presidential house, is for God and not for men. So we want to lead God's people, and we don't want God's involvement in our politicking. We say we are secular. We are secular state. We are secular beings. That's why we make all these nonsense decisions around. That's why leaders say things like no wisdom. You hear some of their conversation, some of their discussion, some of their official report on radio, those who are spokespersons of entity and stuff like that. You get so disappointed. The dynamics of leadership. You might have new ideas. It must stimulate you to drive. You see, as a result, most of them lack the drive and energy that stimulates change. The reason why most of our leaders lack the energy that stimulates change within any system or the process Because they lack wisdom, they lack understanding heart. They talk and do things and say things and take decisions based on hearsay. You say, I say, somebody says. They are all on the radio when they're supposed to be doing their jobs. Responding to all the conversation that somebody will call you on a talk show. You can't control people's opinion, man. You got to stimulate change within your system and the process. Now there are several words I would like to play on this morning. I like to play on words. The first thing is understanding. The Hebrew word is tibuna. T-E-B-U-N-E-H, meaning to separate and to distinguish. Understanding means to separate and to distinguish. So Solomon is telling God, I won't be separate. I won't be distinguished. And to do that, I need understanding. And my leadership must be separate and distinct. It's not about trying to bully people, trying to intimidate and scare people, trying to be rough. I need an understanding spirit. That's why I separate great leaders from leaders or good leaders or ordinary leaders or average leaders. It's the power of force that drive distinction. Understanding is a power or the force that drive distinction. You want to be distinct, you need an understanding heart and an understanding spirit, understanding the time and the season you find yourself as a leader. Then the next word in our passage is knowledge. The Hebrew word is dath, D-A-A-T-H, meaning keen knowledge. That is to be sensible by sight, by touch. It means idealism combined with realism and mainly in the mind. Be sensible by sight and touch, having vision to sit here and project 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years from now. Nations are projecting 50 years, 100 years from now. In our mediocratic leadership system we have in this country, we're making plans on 1 year, 6 months. And we're proud about that. We are not dynamic. Your leadership is not dynamic. That's not dynamic leadership. Project, make plans that will outlive you. Because leadership legacy is not limited to you. You make choices, think about people who will come 20, 30, 40 years from now. Or look at how our leaders, man. So now I get really disappointed. Everything they do is about self. They are so narrow-minded. Their views seem so uneducated and narrow-minded. But yet they boast of so much education. You're not a leader. You're so ignorant. You don't have knowledge. Combined with realism. It means to mark and observe with purpose. Knowledge means to mark and observe with purpose. Now wisdom, the Hebrew word chokmah, C-H-O-K-M-A-H, meaning skills. Wise, the receiving of instruction by experience. Some of you gone through some experiences and they never gave you the instruction. Some of you been leaders for 20, 30 years, but the experiences you have in those places never gave you any instruction based on your result now. What's your problem? What's wrong with you? Because you see, wisdom is the ability to think and act utilizing knowledge and experience. That's wisdom. Your ability to act and think by utilizing your experience. The reason why we went through the war, massacre people, was to give us the experience of the result of poverty, of ignorance, and marginalization, of social injustice, of discrimination and tribalism and nepotism. That's why we went through the war. That's the experience that you have taught us, but we've not learned it. May God help this country. May God save Liberia. We've not learned the lessons. That's why we're still making decisions now that will result. Every time I hear people say we can't go back into war. Beloved, you can't do the same thing and expect different results. If the thing that brought us into the place of war, the massacre, the mayhem and destruction, some of us lost our youthfulness and our innocence and everything. Beloved, if we keep doing it, there is a possibility You see, that's another ignorance of leadership. That's another hype. That's another deception in leadership. They say we can never go back. You're doing the same thing. Incompetence. People are not getting jobs based on merit. You see, why did Solomon make this his priority? Human beings are the most difficult creature to lead because they are full with so much potential than one can ever imagine. I can only imagine many people are dying daily unfulfilled because of the lack of leadership dynamism. They're having leadership but not dynamic. The lack of leadership dynamic. The lack of leadership dynamics. Leadership are not dynamics. The leadership they have been killing them, killing their vision, killing their potential. This nation has so much great leadership potential, but we're destroying and killing it. Beloved, I want to guarantee you, my fellow Liberians, if Liberia Rising works, it can own it when we understand leadership dynamics, having wisdom, understanding heart, understanding spirit. Have a blessed time. If this video has been a motivation, inspiration to you, you can subscribe, you can like, you can share, and leave a comment. Bye-bye.